Hello everyone, tonight I'm going to be making a stuffed seashell pasta. So I've got some giant seashells here and I've just cooked them. Just need to cook these about 3 minutes less than what your packet says. So these ones here, it says 14 minutes. They're just from the supermarket from Coles. And so I cooked them for 11 minutes. Because they need to go in the oven, I've just done them just 3 minutes less. And I've let them cool down a little bit. Now, just a quick tip. Now, these are pretty good because they're just large and they're not really sticking. But a tip that you can do when you've got pasta that you've just cooked, if you're not going to be putting your sauce in straight away, something you can do to stop it from sticking is when you're about to use it, you take a mugful of reserved water from your pasta saucepan when you're draining it, and you just want to pour that over the top. Just going to get a spoon to get all that water to go through. So because there's starches in the water, you'll see that pasta is separating now, it's not sticking together, and that makes it perfect for use. So that's a good little tip to have. So I've let these cool down a bit and let the water cool down a bit so I can stuff them. Now for my stuffing mixture, I've got here 375 grams of smooth ricotta, and I've got in here about 1.5 cups of cheese. Now I've used Perfect Italiano, Perfect Bakes cheese today because that's what I had in the cup in the fridge. You can use any sort of cheese. Mozzarella is probably a good one. Nice stringy mozzarella cheese. And then for my spinach, I've actually just got baby spinach from the supermarket and roughly about 4 tablespoons. So I just grabbed a handful, roughly chopped it up and equated to about 4 tablespoons. Some salt and pepper to taste, 1 egg and a little bit of garlic. So I'm using a minced garlic, about 2 teaspoons because I like a lot of garlic. You can also put some herbs in there if you've got any fresh or dried herbs. So I've also got this big container here, and before I start filling them, just need to put some of this sauce into there. So I'm just using the patata today. This one's Legos, it's got Italian herbs, basil and parsley in there, so I think that'll be pretty good. And you just want to put some of that into the base. And all I do is just spread it around, just let it go from one end to the other, making sure that the base is pretty much covered. No point dirtying another spoon. So that's the bottom of that done. And now we're just going to stuff these. I've got a teaspoon here, but it's a big teaspoon. We're just going to stuff them, and just want to put them into the sauce. And so I've probably done about 25. What I actually did is, so I'm going to do them 5 across. So I actually filled this beforehand with the uncooked shells to work out how many I needed. And so I'm just going to stuff these up. Probably wouldn't go too full just in case it's not enough. Not made this before. And then once you've seen, now that they're actually cooked, they're a little bit bigger. So you might actually end up with extra, but that's alright. So now that I'm stuffing them, you'll see I'm doing 4 across instead of 5. I'll probably squeeze an extra one in there, but I'll just see how I go. I'm just going to keep filling this, and then I'm going to bake it in the oven. And for this, it cooks for about 20 minutes. So I'll finish filling these up, and then I'll come back and show you when they're done. And then of course we'll cook them, and you can have a look when it's cooked. Alright, so I finished stuffing my shells. It was a little harder than I thought, but they're looking pretty good. Managed to go 5 across and 4 rows along, so I've got 20 altogether. Just with these, tip I would have, I've got some left over. So ones like this, when they cook, they look like this before they cook, so they're quite open. They're really easy to fill. And ones like this that need to be held open, they're very hard to fill. So if you're picking out how many you need before you cook them, just check in the bag and grab the open ones first. Try and use those first. I mean, obviously eventually you'll have to use the rest of the packet, but that's a good tip for filling them. Another great tip would probably be if you've got a piping bag with a big nozzle on it, that would work really well. So to finish these off, we're just going to put the rest of this sauce in here, and I'm just going to sort of try and put it between the shells. Trying not to put much on the top because I want the top to look nice and cheesy. I'm going to put the rest of the cheese on top. So just going to spread this around a bit. And obviously some of this is going to get on top of that cheese. It's inevitable. But just going to see what I can do. I'm just going to try and... I think probably what I'll do next time is put all of the sauce in first and then sit my pasta into it. It's probably not going to work out the way I like it to, so I might just sort of to move them around a bit, make sure pasta's getting some sauce onto it. Now these are going to cook for 20 minutes, as I mentioned before. I'd say about 160 degrees fan force, 180 non-fan force. It's looking pretty good, and I'm going to put the cheese on top, and I'm going to cover this over just so that when it cooks it doesn't sort of dry out those bits of exposed pasta. And I'm probably going to use about 1 to 1.5 cups of this this cheese on top. I've got the perfect baked cheese on the top. You can use any sort of pasta sauce you want. Sometimes I make my own, but this is really great if you're in a hurry, you don't have time to make everything. Your filling's just a couple of steps. Your pasta doesn't take long to cook, and your sauce is just done. So I'll probably put a bit more cheese on there than I said I would, but that's looking good. So I'll get this into the oven now, and I'll come back and show you how it looks when it's cooked. Alright, so my stuffed seashells are now cooked. I actually left them in an extra 5 minutes. I probably recommend to check them after 20 minutes. And I put the foil on, but some of the cheese stuck to the top, so I probably recommend maybe just leave that off. I don't think it really helped. But yeah, so that's my stuffed seashells. I'm going to go and enjoy these. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you. Bye.